5 people you must avoid in old age, even family. Welcome to Peaceful Horizons, where we explore the wisdom needed to lead a serene and fulfilling life. Today, we're diving into an important topic: the 5 types of people you must avoid in old age, even if they are family. As we age, life grants us a precious gift: perspective. We begin to prioritize peace, genuine connections, and self-care over unnecessary drama or toxicity. But maintaining emotional health requires one critical skill: discerning who should have access to your golden years. Unfortunately, not everyone you care about will contribute positively to your life. Some relationships, even with family, may weigh you down instead of lifting you up. In this discussion, we'll explore these dynamics, share real-life stories, and offer actionable steps to protect your emotional and mental well-being. Let's begin. Why boundaries are essential in old age. In our younger years, we often believe that relationships are forever. Family ties, friendships, and work connections feel unbreakable. But as time passes, we learn that not all relationships are worth preserving. Some connections become burdensome, draining, or even harmful. In old age, boundaries are not just helpful, they're essential. Boundaries are about protecting your peace and preserving the time and energy you have left. They allow you to live authentically and focus on what truly matters. Let's examine the 5 types of people you must avoid, with stories to illustrate their impact. Manipulators are individuals who thrive on controlling and influencing others by masquerading their intentions under the guise of love, care, or the need for help. This subtle and insidious behavior can be found in all facets of life, whether personal, professional, or even at the global level. Their tactics are often designed to exploit the kindness and goodwill of others, leaving the victim emotionally drained and questioning their own priorities. One common strategy is emotional guilt tripping, where manipulators make their targets feel responsible for their well-being. They might also feign helplessness, positioning themselves as victims to gain sympathy, or gaslight, distorting reality to make their victim doubt their perceptions and feelings. Over time, manipulators create a sense of gradual dependency, starting with small requests that grow into larger demands, making it harder for the victim to refuse. This cycle not only leaves the victim feeling trapped but also takes a significant toll on their emotional and mental well-being. A clear example of this manipulation can be seen in the story of Margaret, an elderly woman who unwittingly became a victim of her nephew's manipulative tactics. At first, his requests for small favors like a ride to the store seemed innocent enough, and Margaret, feeling the pull of family obligation, happily helped. However, as time passed, the demands grew larger: requests for money, for more of her time, until Margaret found herself emotionally and financially drained. She felt trapped by his guilt-inducing remarks, such as "I thought family was supposed to help each other and you're the only one I can count on." Eventually, Margaret realized that her life was no longer her own. She had lost touch with her hobbies, her friends, and her peace of mind, all in an attempt to appease her nephew's ever-growing needs. Manipulation is not confined to personal relationships, it also plays a significant role in global dynamics, especially for those in positions of power. Take Princess Diana, for instance, who was relentlessly manipulated by the media. Despite her efforts to use her platform for philanthropy and social change, the press continuously exploited her personal struggles, sensationalizing her vulnerabilities for profit. Her experiences illustrate how individuals, even those with significant power and influence, can be caught in a cycle of manipulation. Diana's emotional toll was immense, and her struggles serve as a reminder of how important it is to maintain control over one's narrative. Dealing with manipulators requires a combination of emotional intelligence, assertiveness, and clear boundaries. One of the first steps is recognizing the patterns of manipulation. A manipulator will often make you feel guilty, ask for more and more over time, and leave you emotionally exhausted after interactions. By practicing assertive communication, you can begin to set limits. For example, instead of saying, "I'll try to help, but I'm really busy," say, "I'm unable to help this time." This direct approach shifts the conversation from obligation to choice, helping you reclaim your autonomy. Another key strategy is reframing guilt. Manipulators often rely on making you feel guilty to achieve their ends. Recognizing that guilt is a tool used by manipulators allows you to reframe your thinking. Instead of thinking, "If I don't help, I'm letting them down," shift to, "I deserve to prioritize my well-being." By limiting the manipulator's access to your time and energy, whether by reducing contact or creating emotional distance, you can begin to take back control. Some of the world's most influential figures have had to navigate manipulation and establish boundaries. Oprah Winfrey, for instance, struggled with people-pleasing tendencies early in her career. But as she matured, she learned to say no and prioritize her own mental health, famously saying, "You cannot pour from an empty cup." Nelson Mandela, too, faced attempts to manipulate his influence for personal gain. But his ability to stay true to his values and avoid manipulation was central to his success in dismantling apartheid. Michelle Obama, in her memoir Becoming, shared how she protected her emotional well-being by refusing to be swayed by external expectations. Instead, focusing on what mattered most to her and her family. The power of no cannot be overstated in the fight against manipulation. Learning to say no reclaims your time, energy, and peace of mind. When a family member repeatedly asks for money, for instance, you can simply respond with, "I care about you, but I need to prioritize my financial security." If someone tries to make you feel guilty, saying, "I care deeply, which is why I need to take care of myself as well," reinforces the importance of self-care. Ultimately, protecting yourself from manipulators involves recognizing their tactics, asserting your boundaries, and reframing guilt. By doing so, you can reclaim your emotional well-being and regain control over your life. Whether you are a global leader like Nelson Mandela or an individual navigating family dynamics like Margaret, the principle remains the same: your peace of mind is invaluable, and your well-being should always come first. The self-absorbed narcissist is a person who places their own needs and desires at the center of their universe, often at the expense of those around them. Narcissists are typically charismatic and charming on the surface, but they lack empathy and have a deep need for constant admiration and validation. This behavior can be emotionally exhausting for those in their lives, as narcissists tend to dominate conversations and relationships, leaving little room for mutual exchange or understanding. Narcissistic traits include self-centered focus, where they prioritize their achievements and feelings over others, and a dominating conversational style, where they redirect any discussion back to themselves. Additionally, they often display a lack of empathy, making it difficult for them to engage in reciprocal, emotionally fulfilling relationships. An example of this behavior can be seen in the story of George and Robert. A one-sided friendship that illustrates the emotional toll narcissism can have on others. George, an elderly retiree with a wealth of life experience, initially enjoyed connecting with Robert, who was confident and charismatic. However, as time passed, George began to notice that Robert constantly monopolized their conversations. Every time George tried to share his own stories or experiences, Robert would interrupt and redirect the conversation back to his own accomplishments. The imbalance in their relationship left George feeling invisible, with his stories dismissed and his presence undervalued. Over time, this lack of emotional reciprocity caused George to dread their meetings. Narcissistic behavior is harmful for several reasons. First, it leads to emotional exhaustion. As the narcissist demands attention and admiration without offering anything in return, this one-sided dynamic can erode self-worth, making the person feel insignificant or unimportant. Furthermore, narcissistic relationships stifle mutual growth, as they are centered solely around the narcissist's needs and desires, leaving no room for shared experiences or personal development. Public figures often exhibit narcissistic traits, and their behavior can offer valuable lessons on how such tendencies manifest in larger societal contexts. Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, was known for his genius and vision, but many who worked closely with him described him as narcissistic. Jobs demanded perfection and often dismissed others' contributions, alienating those around him despite his innovation-driven charisma. Former US President Donald Trump is another example of a public figure who displayed classic narcissistic behaviors. Trump often dominated conversations, steering discussions toward his accomplishments and dismissing criticism. Similarly, rapper Kanye West frequently sought attention at the expense of others, making grandiose statements and interrupting award speeches to assert his dominance and ego. Navigating relationships with narcissists can be challenging, but there are strategies to manage these interactions, especially when the narcissist is a family member, colleague, or lifelong friend. One important strategy is assertive communication. It's essential to express yourself clearly and firmly, without being disrespectful. For instance, if a narcissist interrupts you during a conversation, you can say, "I'd like to finish what I was saying before we move on." Setting clear boundaries is another crucial step in managing narcissistic relationships. Letting the person know that interrupting makes you feel unheard can help establish a more balanced dynamic. Limiting emotional investment is also key, as narcissists often provide little emotional reciprocity. Focus on managing your expectations and find support from others who genuinely respect and value you. Reframing conversations with narcissists can also help in maintaining balance. When they dominate discussions, try redirecting the focus tactfully. For example, saying, "That's an interesting point, and it reminds me of something I experienced," can create space for you to share your perspective. It's also important to avoid engaging in power struggles. Instead of competing for attention, remain calm and composed, and emphasize mutual respect in the conversation. George's experience with Robert offers several valuable lessons. First, it's important to value your own voice. Just because someone dominates the conversation doesn't mean their voice is more important. Your thoughts and experiences are equally valuable. Second, recognize the emotional toll of interactions. If you consistently leave a conversation feeling drained, it may be time to reassess the relationship. Finally, prioritize reciprocity in your relationships. Surround yourself with people who listen to and uplift you, as healthy relationships are based on mutual respect, not one-sided admiration. In today's world, where individualism and self-promotion are prevalent, narcissistic tendencies can infiltrate many aspects of life, from social media to workplace dynamics to politics. Recognizing and addressing these behaviors is essential to maintaining authentic and meaningful connections. Whether you are dealing with a narcissistic friend like Robert or observing the behavior of public figures like Kanye West or Donald Trump, the lesson remains clear: everyone deserves to feel seen, heard, and respected in their relationships. The perpetual critic is someone who constantly finds fault in others, often disguising their criticism as helpful feedback. While constructive criticism can be beneficial, the unrelenting nature of perpetual criticism can have a detrimental impact, eroding self-esteem and confidence over time. These critics often seek to elevate themselves by pointing out the perceived flaws of others, creating a false sense of superiority. However, their words, though often subtle, can deeply affect the person on the receiving end, causing self-doubt and feelings of inadequacy. A prime example of this is Clara, a 68-year-old widow, who found joy and peace in her gardening. Despite her passion, her neighbor frequently criticized her efforts, commenting on how her roses didn't bloom as beautifully as theirs or questioning why she even bothered with such a small garden. At first, Clara dismissed these remarks, but over time, the constant criticism caused her to doubt her gardening skills. What was once a fulfilling activity became a source of frustration and self-consciousness. The subtlety of perpetual criticism makes it difficult to address, as it may not always be direct or loud. But its effects accumulate over time. It can lead to diminished self-esteem, erode confidence, and even foster anxiety as the individual feels the pressure to meet others' expectations. Public figures like Barack Obama, Emma Watson, and Oprah Winfrey have all faced persistent criticism. But their ability to maintain their sense of self and rise above it shows the importance of cultivating inner confidence. Similarly, Clara's experience demonstrates how internalizing criticism can lead to self-doubt and emotional distress. To respond effectively to perpetual critics, it's essential to distinguish between constructive and destructive feedback. Setting boundaries and surrounding oneself with supportive relationships can help protect emotional well-being. Additionally, focusing on activities that bring joy and fulfillment, regardless of others' opinions, is key to reclaiming one's sense of self-worth. Building internal resilience, like that of Meryl Streep, is crucial for navigating external criticism and maintaining confidence in one's own abilities. Ultimately, the key to dealing with perpetual critics is not letting their negativity define you, but rather focusing on what nourishes and uplifts you. Irresponsibility is a behavior that often manifests when individuals avoid the consequences of their actions by relying on others to handle the fallout. This pattern of dependency can emotionally, financially, and socially drain the person who is enabling the irresponsible behavior. Enablers, usually motivated by a desire to help, unintentionally reinforce the irresponsible person's behavior by preventing them from facing the consequences of their choices. Helen, a 75-year-old mother, repeatedly bailed out her adult son from financial trouble, hoping to give him a fresh start. However, her continuous support only led to her own financial ruin and emotional exhaustion, as her son never learned responsibility. This cycle of enabling has emotional, financial, and social costs, leaving the enabler feeling guilt, frustration, and isolation. To break the cycle, setting firm boundaries is crucial. Helen could have told her son, "I'm not in a position to help financially," thus teaching him responsibility. Learning to say no, even in the face of emotional pressure, is an essential step for enablers to protect their well-being. Public figures like Oprah Winfrey and Richard Branson emphasize the importance of personal responsibility and resilience, showing that facing the consequences of one's actions is key to growth. By prioritizing self-care, seeking support, and practicing tough love, enablers can preserve their mental health while allowing the irresponsible person to learn from their mistakes. Setting boundaries and teaching responsibility are vital for breaking free from the draining consequences of enabling behavior, ultimately fostering healthier and more balanced relationships. Ungrateful individuals can be emotionally draining, as they often fail to recognize or appreciate the efforts others invest in their lives. This lack of gratitude can leave the giver feeling invisible, undervalued, and emotionally exhausted. For example, John, who spends days preparing meals for his family during the holiday season, faces constant complaints about his efforts, leaving him frustrated and questioning the value of his contributions. This pattern of unappreciation leads to feelings of resentment, emotional burnout, and disillusionment in both personal and professional relationships. Gratitude plays a crucial role in maintaining mutual respect and balance. Without acknowledgement, the giver may feel exploited and begin to withdraw, as seen in the stories of figures like Nelson Mandela, Princess Diana, and Mother Teresa, who faced significant sacrifices without the gratitude they deserved. To handle ungratefulness, it is essential to set boundaries, prioritize self-care, and communicate expectations clearly. By scaling back efforts, focusing on activities that bring joy, and ensuring that appreciation is reciprocated, individuals can protect their emotional well-being. Ultimately, the key to dealing with ungratefulness is to value oneself, and ensure that relationships are built on mutual respect and acknowledgement. As we journey through life, we are often faced with the challenge of navigating relationships that either nurture or drain us, and it's easy to get caught in the trap of thinking that we need to hold on to every relationship, no matter how toxic it might be. We may feel obligated, or perhaps we fear being alone. But the truth is, life is too precious to spend on anything that diminishes our light. Your golden years, those moments in time that you have earned through experience, wisdom, and resilience, should be a time of peace, joy, and fulfillment. It's a time to bask in the warmth of your own accomplishments, to pursue passions that make your soul soar, and to connect with people who genuinely value you for who you are. You've weathered the storms of life, and now, it's time to embrace the calm. But how do we let go of toxic relationships that no longer serve us? The first step is recognizing that letting go doesn't mean we are giving up. It means we are prioritizing our own well-being. Imagine holding onto a heavy stone, trying to climb a mountain. The more you hold on, the harder the climb becomes. Now, imagine the relief of dropping that stone, allowing yourself to move more freely, to breathe easier, and to step forward with greater strength. Letting go of toxic relationships is like dropping that stone. It's not about abandoning the people, it's about freeing yourself from the weight they carry. We often hear the phrase, "You are the sum of the people you spend the most time with." Think about that for a moment. Are the people in your life lifting you up, encouraging your dreams, and embracing your true self? Or are they subtly, or not so subtly, dragging you down with negativity, criticism, and expectations that stifle your happiness? Surrounding yourself with people who genuinely value you creates an environment of mutual respect, understanding, and love. These are the relationships that will bring you peace. These are the relationships that will encourage you to grow, to reach for new heights, and to live your truth. Whether it's a circle of close friends, family members who truly care, or a community that embraces you for who you are, these connections will fuel your spirit. On the other hand, toxic relationships drain you. They make you second-guess your worth, question your decisions, and wonder if you're ever enough. The constant emotional exhaustion can cloud your mind and steal your peace. And the worst part? Sometimes, we don't even realize the damage until it's too late. We've become so accustomed to the toxicity that we don't see how much it's holding us back. But here's the secret: you have the power to change your life. You have the power to choose who you allow into your heart and mind. It may not be easy at first. Sometimes we feel guilty or selfish when we distance ourselves from people we've known for years. But the reality is, true self-care is never selfish. It's necessary. And in order to give your best self to the world, you must first give it to yourself. Let go of the need for approval from those who do not see your worth. Let go of the fear of being alone. For in solitude, you often find the most profound peace. In solitude, you can reconnect with your own desires, your own aspirations, and your own happiness. It's time to ask yourself, who am I giving my time and energy to? Are they people who lift me higher? Are they people who encourage my growth? Or are they constantly reminding me of my flaws? Do they truly care about my well-being? Or are they only interested in what I can do for them? If the relationships in your life no longer serve you, if they only bring stress, confusion, or disappointment, then it may be time to let them go. And once you do, you'll make space for those who genuinely appreciate you, who bring you joy, and who are committed to your well-being. Your golden years are too valuable to waste on toxic energy. You've earned the right to live a life of peace. You've earned the right to spend your time with people who love and respect you. So, take a moment to reflect on your relationships. Are they nurturing or draining? Are they helping you grow? Or are they holding you back? And remember, you are worthy of love, respect, and peace. Surround yourself with those who lift you up. Let go of those who weigh you down. Because life is too precious to waste on anything less than peace, joy, and fulfillment. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on my channel to stay updated with more content like this. Click the subscribe button below and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any updates. Also, feel free to leave a comment.